Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's July 4th of 2021. It's 10:30 p.m. at night. A video I made yesterday, I commented about I was hearing very few fireworks being shot off. But of course this is the 4th, and we're having more of them shot off. Just heard a few. This may pick it up. I turned the aquarium air pump off, so perhaps you'll hear some here in a little bit. This isn't anything unusual here, but I just thought I'd bring it up. Like I said, I'm in Fort Worth, Texas. 8 people shot near a Texas car wash after an argument. Now, I already read this thing, but 8 people were injured in a shooting near a car wash in Fort Worth, Texas, early Sunday morning after a group of men got into an argument. One of the men left the scene during the argument, returning with a gun, and began firing towards a groups of people. Fort Worth police said in a news release. Multiple people returned gunfire, the release said. An officer heard gunfire around 1:30 a.m., Fort Worth police said in a news release. When officers arrived at the scene to investigate, they found 8 people with gunshot wounds, according to police. I'm not going to read the rest of it. I'll put a link to this, but this isn't anything, really it's hardly newsworthy, but I've been watching from time to time. Well, I guess we probably all do. I watch a lot of YouTube stuff, and well, there's just so many. But there's one I watched the other day, and I forget, where it was, and I forget what the date was. But somebody had a nice yard. I'm sure you can probably hear the fireworks. At least I hope they're fireworks. I've mentioned this before. Here in the United States, people who love guns look for an excuse to fire them off, and they have decided that on the 4th of July and New Year's, that's a good opportunity to take their gun outside and shoot it off, because there'll be people shooting off fireworks, which are illegal, by the way, in Fort Worth and most major cities, I guess. Didn't used to be when I was a kid, but and some of those rounds sometimes hit somebody. They go up, and when they come down, they sometimes kill somebody. But anyway, I was watching this one video, a nice neighborhood, and the people who had the video, doorbell camera or whatever, they had a nice yard. It had a chain link fence around it. The grass was cut perfect. All the houses were nice. I don't know what day of the week it was, or, exactly what time. I mean, it wasn't night, it was daylight. All the cars were nice cars out there. But all I saw were, young black people. And a car pulls up, and somebody goes over to the car and is talking or something. I don't know exactly what. And then a person in the car, or persons in the car, they pull out a gun and they start shooting. Every one of these other black men, I think I saw a female that was there someplace who took off running or did something, But all of these young black men, I guess maybe 1 or 2 of them might have, pulled a gun out of, their pants or something. But the rest of them that I saw, they just open up the passenger door on the car, or the back door on the car, passenger door on the back door. and they reach in and take out an assault rifle or whatever, and they just start blasting away in all directions. Then there was one guy that had a handgun, and he was blasting away. He wasn't trying to be, like shooting in the air, but I think he'd watched, I don't know, too many Rambo movies or too many something on TV or something, and he just thought that just shoot instead of aiming, which was a good thing. He probably didn't aim. Anyway, right away, a single police car pulls up. He had his lights and siren. He turns the siren off right away when he pulls. This is a side street. It wasn't a main drag. It was a side street. Houses on both sides. He pulls up right away and shuts off his siren, and he gets out of the car. And he doesn't get out of the car with his gun drawn or anything. He gets out of the car, and young guys on the street in front of, especially the ones in front of this house that has the camera aimed out there, they just calmly open up their, passenger doors and throw their assault rifle or whatever into the car. I think a guy might have thrown his handgun in, and I think he opened it back up and then put it in his pocket or something or other. And then these two guys who put the assault rifle in the car and whatever, they walk over towards the police officer. And there's then a guy you can see that's been shot, apparently leg or lower extremity or whatever, but he's like, and they go over and like help, like they're helping him. And the police officers there like, helping him or trying to find out what's going on. Too many guns, and especially, assault rifles. Just too many. They've got them in the car, and a bunch of these other YouTube videos I've seen too. People have a gun in the car, and if somebody gives them the finger, road rage, if somebody gives them the finger or somebody does something, instead of just, yelling at the person or honking a horn or giving them the finger, which I don't recommend doing, because a bunch of these things I've seen on YouTube, and you probably have too. If somebody gives somebody the finger or something like that, the other person pulls out a gun, chases them down, and the shooting is involved or something. It's just, there's too many guns. When you lose your temper, these people just reach, a gun is the solution, they think, to the problem. It's the beginning of the problem, So that's my lecture for today. Oh, let me tell you, I still have my two monitors set up here, hooked to my Beeline PC, and it's working. And I hope the audio is loud enough. But I have moved over okay, I added my Chrome box over here. So it's on the end of this over here. I guess I don't know if it's gonna, I need to get the tripod with the, let's see if you can, I don't know what you can see. What are you seeing? I think the chair's in the way, right? No? Okay, well. Okay, you see that monitor there. Okay, that's the monitor for, I have 3 monitors on my desk now. 2 computers. So, I don't know what I'm going to do with the, I hooked the Chrome box up, and then I always, which is a smart thing, I decide, why am I running the Chrome box? But I did just install 2, I moved off my one Logitech C920. I moved it so that it's with the Chrome box now. In fact, I think if I hit, let's see, okay, that's working, because that's that camera. Okay, this one I don't think will work. Okay, because I guess because the camera isn't hooked up, that camera, it's just showing and same with this one. It's just showing the last, which was the other day or something. I guess I need to delete, well, I guess I need to go in and change so that, well, by the time I do that, I will have, I don't know how many Logitech cameras and other, you know, USB cameras like that away to people. So now I've got another USB webcam here, maybe two, but they're not Logitech. And so, well, let's go to main. I'm not sure if you can hear the fireworks or not. They brought down the rest of that condo. And I mentioned this the other day. There are supposed to be building inspectors that go out, I don't know how often. I mean, if you're building something, of course, inspectors come out, not just building inspector, but electrical inspector, every kind of inspector you can think of if you're building some type of thing or doing remodeling or whatever. But there should be, you know, building inspectors that come out at least once a year and, you know, inspect the places. Let's see. Oh, by the way, do I have this here? No, that's not it. Here it is. Okay, this is a New York Times documentary. I will put the link to this. You've got to watch this. They did a really good job. It's 40 minutes. It's about the thing on June 6th or whatever. They really did a good job on it because they got, you know, they got good video from people, I think mainly from, well, I guess they got some from, you know, officers' cams. They got some from the inside. They also got the people who went into it or were trying to get into the place. They didn't have any trouble getting into it. But one thing that makes it so good, well, they also show diagrams and, you know, arrows and that type of showing how the Capitol is laid out, you know, the floors, where people were inside at the time, and they show, you know, how the people got, when they got in. And also the videos that they show in this thing, which it makes it really good, is they have them synced. So when they're showing you, you know, this video, then they can show at the same time this was going on in the other location or whatever. So it's a really good documentary. I'm going to imagine that it's going to, you know, win a what is it, Peabody Award or whatever they call the things for, what do they call them? A lot of comments, but you know, okay, 28,000 people gave this video, which I think is a good video, a thumbs up. 3,500 people gave it a thumbs down. How can you give it a thumbs down? You know, of course, I guess these 3,500 are going to say that it's, you know, fake. That those people think that no, the rioters and people that caused the death of, you know, people, and I mean, they're just going to think that it's all fake. You know, those really weren't Trump supporters. They were, I don't know what kind of. They all had Trump hats, Trump flags, all this. I don't know. And you know, and there's what? How many? Well, all except one Republican in the House, all but one, have voted no for an special investigation on what took place and, where things went wrong. It's like the 9/11 thing, except the 9/11 thing, you got both sides and you got experts and that type of stuff. And here, the Republicans want nothing to do with the thing. And if they do take part, because it's a committee, they will be able to appoint X number of people, because it has to be the way the thing is set up. You have a committee, and whoever the controlling people are. Right now, the Democrats, they get like, I don't know, one extra person or something. I don't know how they figure it out on their side. And then the chairman will be, in this case, Pelosi or whatever, or whoever. I don't think she has to be the head of a, she could appoint somebody, I don't know. But it's just mind-blowing that the Republicans, do not want to take part in it. What they're going to do, of course, is probably decide to go ahead and take part. And then they're going to be saying, just the crap that they always say. How come you're investigating this and you didn't investigate the rioting that took place by black people in wherever it took place, And they'll be doing this kind of stuff, and they'll be just doing this kind of stuff. I don't know. I guess the President of the United States could appoint a special committee. If I were him, I would appoint a committee, and I wouldn't put any Republican on there who has expressed themselves saying, oh no, these weren't Trump people. No, these, like the one Republican congressman or whatever that says, oh, it was just like a regular tour, no different than a regular tour. Of course, there's video of him, hiding underneath a desk and all this. I mean, it's just, if I were the president, I would just say, of course, he can't, well, not let. Congress is a separate, branch of government. They can do what they want to do. If I were the president, I would just appoint a commission, and I would put on the best people. I'm not saying, I'm saying the best, people to study this kind of stuff. And they would be on it, and nobody would be from the other side if they say this is Trump didn't inspire it and Trump didn't do it. If there was any of that type of stuff, just, buy, go collect money from your, Trump supporters and hold your own thing like they're doing for the election, going over the election stuff again. I mean, it just, and putting money into Trump's pocket. Actually, I heard that Trump is really upset because these people that are doing it are collecting money from Trump supporters, but they're putting it in their pocket. And Trump wants everything, if his name is used, he wants money going into his pocket. So, but anyway, I'll put the link below to this thing, how Trump supporters took the U.S. Capitol. It was 40 minutes, and I saw comments from other people. It was really depressing to see that the failure, that they didn't have enough Capitol Police. They just didn't, they didn't do things the way they needed to do things. It was just sad. And then, of course, as they're calling for help, they're not really getting any help. They finally did from the whatever they call them, the city police showed up finally. It was just a disaster, but that doesn't make any excuse. And two, when you see these people, the rioters, insurrectionists, traitors, doing what they're doing, I think for the ringleaders and for the people who did the beating of the police officers and all the things that they did, and I was thinking when this first started, I think, those people should pay for what they did. But now I was thinking, 10 years, 20 years maybe. I think it ought to be like 50 years for these people, the ones who really did you know. And I think every police department, if you have oath keepers, in your midst, and I'm sure they do, a lot of them do. Beginning it was like the oath takers were, okay, it was, I think mainly like, okay, because I remember seeing them interviewed or something, there's, started the oath takers thing. And it's like, okay, well, we're police officers or retired, and also we're military people, or, we've been in the military, and we took an oath, to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, blah, 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 blah. But then what they said was, and if the government tries to come and take away anybody's gun, then we're going to react. And I thought, oh my God, this is not, you know. But now we've seen that they have moved out of that into their terrorist, their domestic right-wing terrorist. I think every police department should just, I'd give them, because I think a lot of people might have got sucked into it, just on the gun thing. And there might have been a lot of police officers who oath keepers, okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna protect gun rights, But when it's moved into what it's moved into now, they're a terrorist group. So I think police departments just ought to say, of course, they would have to go to court, because they're going to file a suit and take the thing to. But I think all the police departments, well, I think the fair thing to do would be for the police departments to say, okay, if you are a member of the Oath Keepers, you can't be both. You can't be a law enforcement officer and be a member of that organization. So if you want to keep your job, you have to, drop out of that organization. And if on such and such a date you are a member, and you will have to sign a notarized statement of, that if you are lying, you have to sign a statement saying, I'm no longer a member of the Oath Keepers. And then if it turns out that you are, because Internal Affairs will be checking, that's one of the things shouldn't have to be their dominant thing, but if they find out, then you're kicked off the police department, and what should happen but doesn't happen because we have so much independence, you'll probably just get hired into there'll be sheriffs who are elected, they'll say, and I'll hire all those guys who get fired unlawfully from their job. They can come to work for me, and it shouldn't be like that. So, and then of course you got these other, the other groups. Oh, it's just so sad that, our nation's capital was invaded like that, and of course the lady who got shot, I think she just got carried. Well, she joined the group and she drank the lemonade or whatever, but I think she got carried away with it, and I don't fault the officer who shot her. She was, if you watch this video too, you'll see that there were still people. I didn't know this till I watched this video, that I thought when the two chambers, the Senate and the House, were, voting on this, the Senate right away, they said, hey, because Pence, was there, get the hell out of here. But the House decided to continue with the thing while it was going on. Well, the House was then, about the time the people got right to the doors of the House, right there, inside, right there, and those people outside could look in and they could see the House members filing out, because there's like 450 or something of them, plus more than that. how that's the number of representatives, but then they all have staff and all that kind of stuff. And the people outside could look through. And they show it in this video where you can look in and you can see there right there is the members of the ones you want to lynch and whatever. And when that lady smashed, I'm not sure if she smashed a window. Maybe I can't remember now. I think somebody smashed it. And she starts to go through the window, and I think she was like about halfway through the window, and she got shot and killed. And the right wing now is trying to make her into a martyr. And I'm sorry. Like I said, I think that she got caught up in the hysteria, and they had, breached all these entrances and got to that point. But right there were the people that they were wanting to kill, because they were people chanted, where's Pelosi and all this kind of stuff, and they decided, okay, we can't let them into this chamber until, it should be, you can't get into the chamber. Well, they shouldn't have got into the building. You try to break into the building. Those people are so lucky. Of course, if the Capitol Police had behaved like normal police or security, would, that, you're not breaching this facility. If they had opened fire, the other side would have turned it to, these were innocent people, and they were gunned down. It would be, it would be a bad, and it's a good thing that the Capitol Police didn't do that, except, what was it, June 6th? Heightened security needs to be taking place everywhere, and these people need to be, the courts need to make examples of these people. I'm talking, serious jail time. And, but there's going to be, remember when they had the Branch Davidian incident, and that because of that was the reason that these two terrorists blew up the Oklahoma Federal building. They leveled it with the truck explosives or whatever. And there's other things that have happened, some things because of that. And for the right wing and for the Trump supporters or whatever, the coming June 6th, but there's going to be incidents before that of terrorism. And so unnecessary. And if it's too bad, now you can't do this. It's just too bad if these Republicans, the worst of them, that are saying, oh no, like the guy who, I forget where he's from, Georgia and South Carolina or someplace like that. Oh no, these were peaceful protesters and that type of stuff. It's too bad. Now you can't do this. It would be unconstitutional for sure, and it would be a negative. I mean, it would, the other side could then use this, whatever. But it's just too bad that if, let's say that guy is from South Carolina, if the people of South Carolina re-elect him, it's just too bad that the Congress can just it wouldn't be enough just to say, we're not seating him. He's a terrorist, and but you actually, you couldn't do that. That would be unconstitutional. And then when you get into that stuff, then the next time that the Republicans are totally in control, which I hope is never, but it's, well, I'm 70, but down the road a piece, the Republicans will probably be in total control. Maybe the presidency and the House and the Senate, then they would do the same thing, except they would do it like, this guy believes in global, the global warming, so we're not going to seat him. And this person believes that a woman has a right to decide, make decisions on her own body and whatever, so we're not going to seat that person and whatever. So you just can't do, you just can't do that. But what I would like to see would be just like, okay, if the Republicans vote these current people, if the people back in their, their district, if they elect them, just say, okay, if South Carolina, say even one, they pick this one guy, whatever state he's in, if they send him back, it's just too bad that the Congress can't just say, okay, well, South Carolina is not going to have any this term. Is not going to have any you won't have any votes for, in the House. Let the Senate do, let the Senate just behave normal, They're supposed to be statesmen, and there's only 100 of them, and they're supposed to be above this, and they're elected for longer terms. So because our founding fathers knew that, okay, if you elect people for like 2 years, you're going to getting people in that are going to be upset about something and going in with the thing and do something, but they're only going to be, but these other people are going to be elected for longer terms, and they're going to be sitting up there, and you need both the House and the Senate, and they're going to be a moderating force, But it's just too bad that there can't be a penalty, because that, would stop some of, I blogged about when Clinton got, impeached, not removed, but impeached over saying I did not have sex with that lady. I said, all of the people who voted to remove him from office, none of them should ever, be reelected. I mean, it would have to be up to the voters, And I said at the time, I blogged about it, I said, if you don't do that, which I knew they wouldn't, if you don't do that, then in the future, every time a president takes office, you're going to have a ton of people saying, impeach him, impeach him, impeach him. But if if those people got kicked out of office, there wouldn't be any, it was like Eisenhower. I was wrong about President Eisenhower when I was young, I didn't think he was a good president because I thought he just scoffed all the time. But now, well, not just now, but I eventually learned, he did okay. My complaint is that this was right after World War II. We, like the UK, they were really hurting because of the shortages and everything they had. They hurt for a long time. We were prospering, and we had a lot of money. Now, he did build the interstate highway system. That's one thing that he did. But I thought that for those 8 years that he was in office, I thought that he could have done a lot more, that made a lot of improvements. But on the other hand, he could have done, he could have done some bad shit. So I think he was a good, a good president. But I had a point. What was the point about? Something I think about removing somebody from office. But yeah, there should be. That's the way. I mean, but it's not going to, because we have, we have the Republicans who they go to their news source, Fox News, and they don't go to CNN or any place else. They go to Fox News, or they may go to one of these other new ones that are worse than Fox News. But it used to be when we were a younger nation, and when I was younger, beginning when I can remember before we didn't have television, and then when television came, you had, in the beginning it was like one channel, then we had like 3 channels, 3 networks. And when something happened, you had 3 channels, and you didn't have a channel like Fox News, In fact, the Federal Communications Commission required, fairness. You could have your license revoked if you didn't, if you weren't fair, if you didn't give both sides of the thing. But then when it became like satellites, and they still use frequencies, assigned by the Federal Communications Commission for their, maybe not a channel, but they're using the spectrum that has to be approved, and how much power you can use, and all this is decided by but the Federal Communications Commission just wash their hands of it and say, you can do whatever you want to do. And it used to be, I don't hear that anymore. It used to be on the local TV stations, like once a year, they would say, we just turned in our report to the Federal Communications Commission, like we are required to do, telling what we have done during the year, for the community. And also, now here is a number of the Federal Communications Commission that you can contact them if you have any complaints about our station, if we're not being fair and just and all that kind of, So, I don't know, if things have gotten so bad, I do not know what the solution is, except, I think that's the point I was getting at. If we can have consequences when somebody is so wrong, and when they're doing what they're doing. Now, some of this is going to, and on that, you don't want to get into it. If it's like, okay, well, like if you're religious, okay, we're religious, and we don't think that a woman is entitled to control her own body. The government should be able to decide whether she can have a baby or not. Now, those people, they're religious, so you kind of have to, okay, But when you get some of this other crap, looks like global warming is coming. Of course, the Republicans say, well, it's just weather change and it's always happened or whatever. But are we going to be, well, I'll be dead, but a lot of other people after me be, is someplace down the road and 2080 or something, is everything going to fail? No water, too hot, all this kind of stuff. And if there's anybody left to write a history, is it going to be, the cockroaches survived, the flies and the mosquitoes, they survived, but the humans, who, they died out because they basically killed themselves, by not taking care of the environment or something. Is that going to be our, that's a reason we should send some people to another, planet, so at least our species will survive until we mess up that planet, Anyway, thank you very much for watching. What do I want to do? Oh, I want to stop this. Okay.